What is up, everyone? Happy Wednesday to you. We are making it through the week. This is an unplanned live stream. So if you missed this, you know what to do. You can go to my live streams tab, catch it on a replay. And if you like content like this, definitely subscribe. It kind of helps me out in the algorithm because obviously small channels are suppressed. They were like, no more rising stars. We are trying to pay for public opinion, and we can't have any more people rising in influence. So we need to stop this algorithm. We need to stop anyone that we feel like will, you know, you know, wield any influence on the masses. How are you, Lost Cause? And I love your name, Lost Cause 187. What's going on with you, Lost Cause? I feel like this country is a lost cause, and it's sad. And, I sit back sometimes and I think, how did America get like this? Like, how did America get like this? And, I'm probably bouncing subjects because I'll get into the Met Gala after this. But this has been on my mind because I used to be an employment recruiter for years, 7 strong years. And it gave me a peek into how, the hiring process works, how some of the decisions are made at some of these major companies that people want to get into. And what's going on, YouTube Blue Butterflies? I see you. I am doing well. I've been sitting back just pondering, and I guess what sparked this conversation was that, you know, I was looking at a news story and they were talking about how so many college graduates, we have a lot of graduates. This is graduation season for a lot of college students. And a lot of them are going out into a job market that have people with experience that are laid off, you know? And you're thinking about how these young people are going to contend in a job market that is basically disappearing. And I think, when I kind of look at America and I'm like, how did we get here? I think a lot of people can agree that when we look at people making decisions, and I don't care if it's in the company sometimes, in the government, a lot of times we're perplexed as to how that person got that position. They don't seem like they are a fit for the job, right? And yet this person is in this position. Sometimes they are leading other people, right, to their demise, right? And you just wonder, how did this person get this position? And as a person who worked in employment recruiting for years, and I've had customers who were top brands, legacy brands in the United States. I've worked with several different types of hiring managers, whether it's on the business operation side, product development side, manufacturing side, you name it. I probably worked on a rec. I hated IT though. But, I noticed a trend even when I was recruiting that, a lot of times if you had a big wig in the company, right, they're going to figure out a way to get their kid in a position that they don't qualify for, right? That's called nepotism, right? And I think some companies have done all they can to the extent that they can to try to mitigate nepotism within a lot of these systems that behold us all. But it's very difficult. I mean, I remember when I was in college, there was this kid in my class. He was dumber than a sack of diapers. No one in our class could understand how he was passing in our curriculum. But then, when you peel back the layers, his father was a huge donor of the school. So he was going to pass and make it regardless because his father was a huge donor in the school. All right. But fast forward, his father giving him credentials probably still had a liability on his hand for the rest of his son's life because he wasn't destined to be a successful person. You can prime and try to get certain people to be certain levels, but some things are just not in people. And so I go back to when I was recruiting for a major supplier, and this is an automotive supplier. And there was this guy from this, smaller town in Michigan, and the kid was smart. I mean, you're talking about, a real automotive tinker. Like his dad was it, like he came from like legacy of people that worked on cars, so he knew the car. Dad never went to college. He decided that, he wanted to go to college. So when he was in school, right? And, I was working at the supplier in the student program where I was working in the internship program. We had a rotational program. And so I would interview students from all these different schools for all these product development roles for engineering. This kid just had the knack. All right. When I used to gauge people for a job, I kind of look at how they kind of go to town talking about the job description, what they know about it, right? What their experiences, and, without a lot of probing. And this kid was just it, right? I was for sure the hiring manager because he was in the top three, and the other two were very mediocre. And the one kid was just like this kid, his dad worked within the enterprise, but the kid was not smart. The dad was pretty smart, but the kid was not smart. The son was not smart, right? And this is a powertrain role. And the dad was in powertrain. And it was almost like it wasn't even a question that the dad's kid was going to get the role. And what a shame, because the kid sucked at the role. He needed people to hold his hand. He needed mentors. He needed all this extra shit. Whereas the other kid, he wanted the powertrain role. Unfortunately, the kid got it, right? But we were able to get him into a system integration role that he could rotate out of. But what a shame, though, because that kid was made for powertrain. He had the competencies of powertrain, right? And it just to make a long story short, it just reminds me of America. We've had a lot of people in positions who are in those positions because of nepotism, right? Or because they were willing to sell out this country to whatever. You know what I mean? And so when I look back at the situation of America today, a lot of this is greed. It's beyond just the financial mismanagement of the government. It's really the corporate greed, the governmental infiltration, and these greedy people who are only looking out for their own people. They do not care about Americans. They do not look at all people in America as their countrymen. They are very segmented on making sure that their people are straight. And, and a lot of that boils down to nepotism, too. Again, we have a lot of unqualified people in positions, and they will swear that regular people are not as intelligent, and you didn't go to Harvard or some other esteemed school. Let me tell you, I have cased some of Harvard's graduates, and Harvard, to me, that is just a label. It's just a name brand. It's just literally Gucci Prada of colleges. But to me, they don't turn out rock stars. They do not turn out rock stars all the time. A lot of these Ivy League schools do not turn out rock stars that are competitive for the market. And this is the same with these higher esteem, because I interview with these students. They have no character, no charisma, no moxie, no hit the ground running. But because their dad or their mom is somebody that is up there, right, they're going to get a position even though they suck. And their parents are going to do everything that they can to keep them in that position, even if they ruin the operation, even if they ruin productivity. And that's what's, to me, going on in America. We have a lot of people in government, in power, who are products of nepotism. And again, I never believed that anybody that is thrown in front of the American people's faces, I believe these people are already pre-selected. They're really like, okay, you guys choose the best of the worst, but we've already made a decision anyways. You know what I mean? So it's just to say that I feel like this country has been sold out, and I don't even know how you can get America back to where it was, like where there's some sense of industry boom, right? Because it's just like, what sectors in America are just really thriving, really innovative outside of IT and all this AI shit that nobody, the basic consumer, right? They're not even buying into that. Matter of fact, AI is wiping out people's jobs. So the adaptation to AI is really got people side eyeing, because it's like, you're wiping out my job. You're wiping out a lot of people's jobs. So to me, all this AI bullshit, and even still, I'm gonna say this about AI, because I've worked with AI models for quite some time, and I think we've all worked with AI models in some respects. They're just not intelligent. You need repetitive human behaviors and action for there to even be a somewhat decent human emulation. But other than that, it has no feelings, it has no soul, and so it's never going to execute like a human being. Maybe from a very perfunctory job standpoint, but when it comes to sentiment, reasoning on the fly, I just don't trust it. It hasn't really demonstrated anything to me personally, and I follow the sector. But let me know what you guys think. I really think we need to get back to the basics. You know what I mean? We got to get Americans excited about stuff. It's like, I feel like, there's no industry in America to be excited about. And I'm from Detroit. And so I used to, the automotive industry is in our blood. Legacies of uncles and everything working in automotive. I am not excited about the automotive industry. I don't even know where it's going. Most of the people in America cannot afford the cars. They can't even afford new vehicles, new model vehicles. So that puts Ford and all of these companies in a position. Like, how much inventory should we be really popping out? How much inventory should we? So it's like, you don't have the production. You don't have the people's buy-in to cars like they used to. It's like a lot of people trying to hold on to the car that they have, and or get a used one, and even used cars are literally the equivalent of what a new car was back in the day. It's crazy. There's lots of dumb yallies, and you wonder how in the world they get into school. I'm telling you, their parents. If your parents are a big donor to something, like, there is no wondering how you got there or how you succeeded, right? Because they're gonna pay for your success. But at the same time, these same parents are doing nothing for those kids outside of paying for them to look like they're successful, even though their kid is a loser, a failure. They're not eclipsed by maybe their smartness. And even you question how the parents got ahead, if the kids are dumber than a sack of diaper, and they got to just pay for their way to get into places. You know what I mean? The one thing I can say is, I feel like intelligence is quite hereditary. And and I feel that, and I think if you have two people who are intelligent, it's a good ingredient for intelligent next generations of people in American society. But I feel like the most intelligent people in society are people like you and me. I think that we get missed out on. I think we get masked over, right? Because again, we're not part of the fold. We're not part of these nepotistic systems. But the smartest people in society are not these wealthy people. And just because somebody is wealthy do not mean that they're smart. I know that may seem contradictory to a lot of people, but there's all kinds of ways in which people get their wealth and inheritance, nepotism, right? And honestly, even down to some of these people, because, like, you know, Nikolai Tesla, right? I feel like that is a conspiracy rabbit hole to go down. All right. Nikolai Tesla was very fearful of his life towards the end. All right. And how did the United States government end up having all of this man's intellectual property? And so I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that are fucking leeches. They're idea leeches. Of course, we have a military state of people, so they can go and they can do all kinds of shit to steal people's ideas and all kinds of stuff. And I mean, half of these people that I think that they're propping us up as they're such geniuses and they're just such this, I don't fucking believe it. I really don't think Elon Musk is as smart as they try to project us to be. But again, I feel like he's just part of this little charade of rich people, right? And it's like a make a wish foundation. We're going to make you the richest guy in the world and we're going to make you this. And it's like, all right, Damien Thorne, right? And all you can do is just sit there and, we'll give you a little illness so that nobody can question why you don't look as smart as we keep trying to project you to be. I don't think the man is as smart. I really think that a lot of these people are psyops and they're like nepotistic babies that they're just trying to make famous. Like they're spoiled rich kids that they have dreams and they got enough money to realize them. That's just me personally. That's just me personally. That's just me personally. You know, can you help a nigga out with mechanistic? I don't even know what the hell you talking about. I'm not an engineer. I worked with engineers, bro. You going into some shit I don't even know what you're talking about. I've worked with engineers, and the engineers I work with were more on the automotive side. You know what I mean? Even with the manufacturing, I don't even know none of that. I was working with like ultrasonic and tesonic welders. You know, Kaizen type of folks, you know what I mean? Your real hardcore manufacturing folks. And on the product side, it was all automotive product development. So electrical systems, integrations. I barely worked with MEs. I really didn't even, outside of powertrain engineers, those were probably like my favorite engineers, to work with because they were like always the princesses of any enterprise, right? If you worked in powertrain, you knew your department was always going to have money, always going to have money, always going to have money. You need bodies for powertrain. All right, let's go cut somebody else's budget because powertrain needs some money. All right. I remember working in the automotive space. I'm a financial advisor these days, but I loved working in the automotive sector. Honestly, if COVID never hit, I don't even know if I would have became an FA. But I'm a sector watcher and I look at how things play out and I'm like, the automotive sector, the retooling for all this PP whatever shit. I'm like, the financial sector, they're gonna be able to swim in some shit like this. So I switched over to advising, right? But it pays to be a smart person because then you can just switch careers without even thinking about it. So I went from automotive to finance. I like finance. I feel like a therapist. You know, I've always wanted to be a therapist. And honestly, being a financial advisor is literally being a therapist. It literally is being good. Like, honestly, my clients, like, they talk more about life and all that other stuff than sometimes we get into the money, right? But that's what it is. But you got to sector watch. That's one thing I learned in recruiting is always know about the sector that you're recruiting in. And that was a transferable skill for me on the advising space because it just kind of helped me to kind of understand, from a diversification standpoint, it's especially on a sector rotation, It's like how sectors work, how they behave, with what kind of a SWOT analysis of them, if you will. So it kind of helped. It was a good transferable skill to bring over into, my new career. But I always tell people, sector watch. But let me know what you guys think about the earlier conversation. Do you think America's death is the result of nepotism? People putting their kids in positions that they should not be in just to glorify their family name, all the while they ruin companies, and they ruin countries. And we are seeing this with America, right? We've had the wrong people making decisions, influencing this government for decades. And now future generations are going to pretty much be slaves to whatever systems that is a residual of their bullshit. This is, when people talk about the American dream, just understand that it's dead. They killed it. They killed it. Like, there is no American dream, and it sucks. The only time the American dream is going to be achieved for people is if you tribe up. You got to tribe up. It's almost like you got to create your own little community of people just to achieve some taste of a dream in America, because that's how fucked up economically this country is. But anyways, what's going on? I see you. Is it Mara? Nice to see you. You said don't talk dirty like that. This country is dirty, so I only talk dirty about dirty things. Let's see. There's lots of, oh, we already talked about that. I don't even know what you're talking about. But on to my other conversation, and then I'm going to get off, is the Met Gala. All right. I keep seeing, like, first of all, I don't know who do these fashion reviews. Like, I don't trust Vogue magazine to do a top 10 list on anything. Because anytime you say that, like, the top best dress at the Met Gala was Beyonce, Rihanna, all these people, like known names, they were not. Rihanna looked awful. And, her husband looked awful. Beyonce, to me, she didn't even get the damn assignment. Like, what art piece was Beyonce emulating? A skeleton? Like, I feel like Beyonce has done that before. So there was nothing really unique about Beyonce, but they're going to blow Beyonce up. Because it's like, oh, she hasn't been at the Met in 10 years. It's like, who the fuck cares? She could have came harder. And I'm sorry, Beyonce, she showed us a much younger face just last year. And this year, she looking like Tina Knowles. She literally looking like her mama this year. And this is what, let me tell y'all something. Ladies, be okay with your aging face. Because every time these celebrity women go out and get these little procedures, right? And they make you feel insufficient because you're not aging as gracefully as them. And then literally not even a year later, they're looking like spoiled milk. Like Beyonce this year from last year, she looked like spoiled milk. And I don't know what she's doing to her face, but she needs to stop. These women need to stop getting these procedures. They really do. Like even like people like Nicki Minaj. I know she wasn't at the Met, but Nicki would be a very attractive, nice bodied 40-something-year-old woman if she did not get her ass did. And a lot of these women go out and they get these enhancements to literally achieve the body that a woman who has had children achieves. They literally want the mom bod, because when you have kids, they spread out your hips. They make your butt bigger, right? And this is what these women are trying to cheat and do that. And then they don't realize that when you have children, that's going to happen anyway. So now your BBL is going to look weird. And from what I understand, once you start redistributing fat to targeted areas, it's almost like you're conditioning the fat to go there. And so these women, eventually, they're going to have to get reductions on those areas that they enhance anyways, because their body is confused and they got fat that is literally distributing itself into one area. But off of that, I love the Met Gala. I really love the Met Gala. And I think that there was a lot of people who were actually models who got the assignment, who did not get the love and the shine as some of these like known celebrities, or, like Rihanna, and ASAP, right? They both looked a freaking mess to me. I really didn't like Beyonce's look, right? Um, Blake Lively looked really pretty. Blake Lively did look pretty, but she had a lot of nuts going up in there trying to be extra after you tried to take a whole man down. Madonna looked weird, but I expected her to look weird. But it was like, to me, the Met was not anything spectacular this year. It really wasn't spectacular. I think that the artists that got the assignment, they're the ones that are not being highlighted right now. And I saw Rihanna and her husband, they might have had a little argument or a couple spat. They ended up separating that night. And, here's my perspective on Rihanna and ASAP Rocky. I pray that they make it a long time, but I don't think that they're going to make it a long time. That is that is an inequity. And some people are not going to agree with me, but there's a difference when the woman has significantly more wealth than a man versus a man having more significant wealth than a woman. There is a huge difference in the psychology that will always go on there. And and the more successful the woman is than the man, the more there is an ego, a silent ego that is at play, that he may not even be overt about, because or whatever gains he's getting. But at the end of the day, I believe that they truly loved each other, whatever. But at the end of the day, Rihanna is a boss bitch. She wants things her way. And I think that, a lot of times when you have boss bitches, they will take up with a man that has lower value because they intend to be the boss. But when you got to do like ASAP, who's like, well, I'm fine too. I may not be as, successful as you on the business side, but I'm a business of my own. And I think that men like ASAP, they really try hard to try to make their own way without that woman. They try to separate their success or any success that they can have from their woman, right? Because it needs to be his, so that he don't want to say, well, Rihanna got me this, Rihanna got me that, you know. And I think that a lot of times jealousy can come into play, and even ego, when you have a woman who have substantially more wealth than a man, you know. And I mean, this goes into women just in business, right? I don't encourage women to align with a man that makes less than them unless this dude is 100% solid. Like, he got to be just straight. I put God first. God governs everything that I do. I understand what Ephesians say about how to treat a woman, all that stuff. That's the only way it's going to work, because then she is going to be able to submit. Because women who make more than men, they can't submit to men that make lower than them, but there has to be a reason, right? They're not going to just submit to you because you're a man. You know what I mean? They need to have a reason. You know what I mean? It's funny because, like I said, I'm a financial advisor. I do very well for my family. And, a lot of times people ask me, why are you single? Why are you single? And to be honest with you, I think that some people are confused. Um, or maybe they just don't understand that not everyone evaluates themselves by having somebody else tethered to them. Some people can be very self-reliant, whether you're a man or a woman, right? Man or woman, there are a lot of people in this society that can be very self reliant because they're intelligent people. They are calculated people. They are higher IQ people. And so these people can function by themselves without having to deal with other people. And I think for me personally, I don't want to be emotionally responsible for anybody. I like control. All right. I like control. I like control because I know that when I'm in control, shit is working out. All right. Things are the way that they need to be. I'm not scraping or trying to figure out nothing because everything is paid. My future self is paid. My kids' future self is paid. Bills are paid. We can go off on weekend trips when I want to without checkpointing anybody. I like control. And I think that it's okay to want to have control in your life. I mean, there are a lot of people who are just messed up. And I think in a world where there's very little that we can control, very little that we can control, I think that people should control what they can control and be comfortable and be at peace. So if being single, making your money, taking care of yourself and your family is what you feel like is a comfortable control for you, then do it. I mean, and people are so messed up in the head, and like I said, they're soulless that, to me, being in a relationship is really, personally, it's nothing to brag about because I see a lot of people in relationships and you can tell that there is an inequity in that relationship. Somebody cares more about the other person. Somebody is using that relationship as a convenience. You know what I mean? And I'm not even going to get into some of these people who are outright so insecure about themselves. They hate that their mate is doing well and they just killing them. So it's a lot of messed up people in the world. I mean, honestly, I feel like single is not really to me, it's not a stigma. It's not a stigma. People are fucked up in this world today. To me, you almost saved your life being single the way these folks out here killing folks. You know what I mean? And they not even married. I mean, you talking about they were in a relationship. Do you ever watch true crimes? Davon and Chanel were in a relationship for 6 months and everything looked great. Everybody said that they were wonderful. And then Davon killed her because she wanted to leave his ass. 6 months. I only knew your ass 6 months and you killed me. Fuck that. Now I'll be single. I like being single. There's a million ways to die. You know what I mean? Getting killed by a crazy ass man is not on my list. At least one that claims to love me and all that stuff. And my mom always said, ladies, this is something for you to really pay attention to. My mom always told me, never let a man tell you that he loves you to death. Never let a man tell you that he loves you to death because he could literally mean that. And it's not anything endearing. It could be coming from the lips of an undercover psychopath. So never let a man or a woman tell you that they love you to death. Like, no, I need you to love me, right? But if for whatever reason we separate, you need to love yourself enough to go the fuck on and leave me alone. And a lot of people can't do that. So just be careful in these streets. And if you're married and you've been married, there's nothing in these streets for you, man or a woman. There is nothing in these streets. And for the men, y'all better listen to Johnny Taylor. It's cheaper to keep her. All right. It is cheaper to keep her sometimes because that's why these men out here killing their wives. They don't want to have to pay child support. They don't want to have to split assets with her. They don't want to have to do all this stuff. So they're out there killing their wives. But recently I did hear of a tragic case of a mother who killed the two kids because the father wanted full custody of the kids. They were battling with custody and she was so crazy that she's like, you're not going to have them, literally. And she killed them babies. So this world is wicked. But what do we read at 2 Timothy 1 through 5? In the last days, people will have no natural affection. And that's what's going on. People don't have a lot of natural affection. But getting back to Rihanna and ASAP, I pray that their relationship survives. But I don't think that that relationship is going to survive. I think that Rihanna is going to get tired of his ass, because I think that ASAP is more trying to, like, I hate to say it, and I like Rihanna, but I think that man is probably at the mercy of that woman, of a diva, and I don't even think he's probably going to stick around for it. I would love to see Rihanna and ASAP Rocky make it, but I don't think so. And Rihanna needs to lose weight. I know she just had a baby. I know she just had a baby, but just having a baby is not an excuse. Get that weight off of you. And if these women would nurse their babies after they have them, the weight will fall just right off. Like, I never had a problem losing weight after I had a baby, not one time, because I nursed my kids. Nursing is the quickest way to burn calories without working out, even though I do encourage you to work out. But a lot of these women don't want to cut corners. My titties are saggy as hell because I nurse every single one of my kids. If any bitch were to get a breast, their tits done, it should be me, because I actually, deformed them with my kids, nursing them. But I'm telling you, the weight fell off of me each and every time. And with my son, because boys tend to nurse more than girls, if you have a boy, that's prime time to nurse, because boys will burn the calories even quicker. I would say with my son, during pregnancy and post pregnancy, I probably was my most beautiful. My skin was perfect. It was just, I don't know what it is about boys, if it's the extra testosterone, but they really do make the woman beautiful. And they can make you lose weight if you nurse them. So I pray for Rihanna, but I do believe that she needs to start working on losing that weight the healthy way. Because I don't think that having babies is an excuse for a woman to let her weight go. If you want to let your man go, if you want your man to go, use having a baby as an excuse to keep weight on you and to be fat. Rihanna is a beautiful woman. She is a celebrity. She's in the limelight. Her husband has a model-esque body. Okay? And, we know she's not going to be the skinny thing that she was back in the day, but she needs to lose that weight or she's going to lose that man. Like, I mean, I don't understand why women believe that men should just accept us for how we are, fat as hell. But then for some reason, when the man leave us, then we start going to the gym and getting, it's like, come on, ladies. We gotta care. Like my mama always said, it's somebody probably, y'all probably gonna think this is awful. But my mom told me I would disown my daughters if they got fat and bald headed. And so I never got fat. Like I never let myself go, because I mean, and I've gained weight, but I never let myself get like I don't look good in my clothes or anything like that. And maybe my mama just molded me wrong and whatever and made me shallow in that degree. But I have never believed in just getting fat and just letting myself go. And I think if a lot of women, kind of think like that when you're married, you won't lose your husband. I mean, it's just true. You can't be mad at a man, when when you have not given him a reason to look at you anymore because he's repulsed, you know? And you can't, to me there's a disconnect there. Anyways, you're right. I thought that was her mother. They used that Botox, and when they stopped using it, reality sets in. It is. I'm sorry. Beyonce face looked like spoiled milk this year. I mean, coming off from this snatched teenager's look that she had just a year or so ago, and now you looking like Tina Knowles. Like, get off that shit, Beyonce, for real. And it's probably causing her to have inflammation in the face. I mean, who knows? Like I look at even Vivica Fox, it's like, do these women have lupus? Like, do Botox eventually make you have lupus face? Because that's what some of these women are starting to look like. They got lupus or something. Shalom, shalom. I see you. I see you, my brother. I am telling you though, we pray for everybody. We pray for everybody. But let me know though, really, about what you guys think about America, though, this country, the state of it. I guess, from a religious standpoint, obviously we know this is the last days, and we know that these nations are going to be collapsing, right? But just from a social economic viewpoint, right? How would you say that America got to the position that it's in right now? And nepotism is just one, and sellouts is just one equation, right? Because there's other things that are in play too, like loyalty, nationalism. What does it mean? What does it mean to have leaders who are more nationalistic, meaning that no matter what decisions, what alliances they make, they it has to be in the interest of the preservation and the economic stability of the people in this nation. That hasn't been the case, so let me know what you guys think. Why is America, what do you think are some key ingredients? What would be your top 5 reasons why America is in the state that it's in right now? Let me know. Put it in the comments. Thanks so much for those who have tuned in. I will probably maybe jump on. No, I'm not going to jump on this weekend. You know why? Because it's Sabbath time. And then right after Sabbath, I gotta put my babies in the ground. I mean, shout out to all my Zone 6 gardeners, right? It's our time, finally. Finally, for Zone 6, it is our time to be out there with our green thumb. I am so excited. I feel like I have seasonal depression or something. I am literally an outdoor plant, and I just want to be outside, playing in the dirt, planting. Let me know what you're growing this year. I do my garlic and my onions. This year, I'm actually trying ginger and turmeric. I got my lemon verbena because I love my lemon verbena. What else do I have this year? I have an apple tree. I haven't tried like fruit trees before, so I have to do a little research on that. But I'm gonna have my tomatoes and my cucumbers, and I decided to do like garden art. So the way that I'm actually like laying out my plants, I'm actually laying it out so that as everything grow, it's gonna look like a lady with a dress on. So I'll post maybe the final product, and hopefully my vision comes to light, because I have corn and sunflowers too that I'm trying to integrate into this art piece. But let me know if you saw the Met Gala too. I enjoy the review, looking at the Met Gala every year. It is a guilty pleasure of mine. I was not very impressed with a lot of people like Serena Williams. They were geeking her up like as one of the best dressed, and she wore a dress that you would see Serena in probably at any other event. A lot of these people did not get the memo, art and fashion. And it was clear, you like a lot of those pieces that some of those people were wearing, they could have wore those things at any other award show. So, I think some of the actual fashion models that showed up, they got the assignment, even though they didn't get the clout and the recognition like Anak did. Like, she came in, teardrop black dress, baby was on point. Okay. There was a lot of other beautiful models that showed up and showed out for the Met, and they killed Beyonce, Rihanna, all of these top celebrity bitches that people wanted to highlight or whatever, some of the actual models, they killed them. Some of the best dressed people were not the people on the board, right? So let me know what you guys think. I'm excited for the Met next year. Hopefully they do it better. And I will say this, people don't want to, people probably hate when I say shit like this, but I don't care. The Met would be nothing without all that melanin. It would be boring without the melanin. Matter of fact, the people with the melanin actually got the damn assignment. Anna Wintour, keep aligning with black people. She's like, I need this to be fantastic. Get some black people, of course. Of course. Of course. Anna not stupid. Anna is not stupid. The Met will never be pop without the melanin. So, anyways, you guys, love your neighbor as yourself. If you would not disrespect or abuse yourself, do not be like the United States and Israel and all of these other hostile nations, right? Don't don't disrespect your neighbors, right? Stay in your lane. Clean up your own shit by better decisions, right? Because again, the United States has been infiltrated with these nepotistic people and their children, right? They have ruined this nation economically, right? And if they're the smartest people in the room, which we know that they're not, but again, they're going to be propped up like they are, right? Get us out of this shit without going and imperializing other people's GDPs and nations. Get us out of this economic bullshit without running up into Iran, who has been waiting for us to do that shit for decades. And again, people keep talking about how it's been Netanyahu's wet dream to for the United States to convince the United States to move in on Iran. And I'm pretty sure it was Iran's dry dream to just waiting for that shit to happen. And again, the first couple of days of the war, we looked like fucking idiots. We lost a lot of money, and nobody is going to not make me believe, because I saw the reporting, that during the first couple of days when we're bragging about taking out fleets, we were taking out paintings on a wall. We were taking out Trojan horses with millions to billions of dollars. So, you know, the smartest people in the room is basically trying to do damage control because somebody did not calculate this campaign very well. And I don't really think they're calculating bricks. I don't think bricks move like NATO. Similar, but not that much. But, you know, Iran is a BRICS nation. I believe that they have connections. I believe Iran did become a BRICS nation. And if BRICS is operating like NATO operates, then the United States will never just be going to war with Iran at that point. We're going to war with China because, again, you know, they get economically impacted the most oil wise, you know, or one of the nations that get economically impacted when Iran Strait of Hormuz is not operating the way that it needs to operate. So it's a lot of vendettas against the United States on some dumbass shit. And again, China was doing business with Venezuela. So that Maduro move also fucked over China. So we just fucking over people. And so we don't really know who our friends are, who's really going to be negotiating with us in good faith, because we haven't negotiated in good faith. So we will see how the nepotistic people and their kids ruin this economy further. And maybe we'll see nuclear war in our lifetime. Won't that be exciting? But anyways, you guys, love your neighbor as yourself. What's up, Wormhole? I see you as well. And then I always say your name wrong. Is it Prin? I am I'm sorry, brother. You know I'm talking to you. But Thank you guys for tuning in. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you would not disrespect or abuse yourself, do not disrespect or abuse your neighbors. Bye.